Cheyenne's voice broke. I'm scared. I'm 20 years old, and I feel like I've already broken my life. Every time I think about the drinking, I feel like I'm drowning. So yeah, I talk about shoes. I talk about American Idol. I talk about anything that isn't the fact that I want a drink so bad right now I can taste the copper on my tongue. She sat down abruptly, her heart pounding against her ribs. For the first time, Gary didn't ring the bell to end her turn. He just nodded. Thanks for sharing, Cheyenne, truly. As the meeting ended, a woman named Sarah approached her. The first time you stop talking about the shoes is the hardest, Sarah said. But it's the only way you'll ever find the ground under your feet again. Cheyenne walked out into the cool Houston night. She didn't reach for her cigarettes. For the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe without a crutch. Chapter 9. The Ashford Intrusion. While Cheyenne was fighting for her soul in a church basement, Reba was fighting for a commission in a glass-walled office downtown. The real estate market in Houston was a blood sport, and Reba was a seasoned gladiator. But lately, a new name had been appearing on the sold signs in her neighborhood: Ashford and Associates. Julian Ashford was everything Reba found irritating in a man. He was polished, he was arrogant, and he had a smile that suggested he knew exactly how much your house was worth before he even stepped through the front door. Reba was at the local title company, waiting for a closing, when Julian walked in. He was wearing a tailored navy suit that probably cost more than Reba's first car. Reba Hart, he said, leaning against the counter. I saw your sign on the Miller property. Bold move, asking that much for a ranch style with original plumbing. Reba didn't look up from her paperwork. It's called vintage charm, Julian. Something you wouldn't understand, given that you seem to specialize in soulless glass boxes. Julian laughed, a rich, warm sound that made the hair on the back of Reba's neck stand up. Ouch. You always this prickly, or did I catch you on a bad day? I don't have bad days, Reba snapped, finally looking at him. I'm actually here to offer you a deal, Julian said, his voice dropping an octave. Reba paused. A deal? I'm developing the New Heights project. 20 luxury townhomes. I need a partner who knows the local pulse. Someone with, let's say, a survivor's instinct. Reba narrowed her eyes. You're asking me to work for you? With me, Julian corrected. Think about it, Reba. We'd be unstoppable. Your reputation and my capital. I'll think about it when pigs fly and the Astros win 3 World Series in a row, Reba said, gathering her things. But as she walked away, she couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lingered on her. It had been a long time since a man had looked at her like she was more than just the agent or the mom. It was annoying, it was distracting, and, God help her, it was a little bit exciting. Chapter 10. The Patch Protocol. In the guest house, Brockhart was experiencing the 5 stages of grief, mostly directed at a small nicotine patch stuck to his upper arm. It itches, BJ. It's like a tiny, angry squirrel is biting me. Barbara Jean was wearing a surgical mask and holding a clipboard. That's just the toxins leaving your body. Brocky, it's the healing process. I've designed a full clean air protocol for our home. She pointed to a series of posters she had taped to the walls. They featured drawings of happy lungs and sad, blackened cigarettes. I don't need posters, Barbara Jean. I need a cigarette, just one puff, for medicinal purposes. No, Barbara Jean barked, blowing a whistle she had hanging around her neck. Cravings are just thoughts. And we don't listen to bad thoughts. Now, open your mouth. It's time for your carrot juice. Brock groaned. Carrot juice? I thought we were having steak. Steak is a trigger food, Brock. It makes you want a post-dinner smoke. From now on, we are eating neutral foods. Carrots, celery, and unseasoned tofu. Brock looked at the glass of orange sludge in her hand. I'd rather go back to Kathy Tillman. Barbara Jean froze. What did you say? Nothing. I'm drinking. I'm drinking the carrots. As Brock gulped down the juice, trying not to gag, Barbara Jean beamed. See? We're a team. We're conquering the leaf together. Later that night, Brock snuck out to the porch, hoping to find a stray cigarette in the cracks of the floorboards. Instead, he found Cheyenne sitting on the steps, looking at the moon. "Hey, kiddo," he said, sitting down beside her. "You looking for a smoke too?" Cheyenne shook her head. "I gave the pack to Van. He promised to bury it in the backyard." Brock sighed. "Your mother's right. This stuff is hard." "It's not just the stuff, Dad," Cheyenne said softly. "It's the feeling. The feeling that you need something else to be okay." Brock looked at his daughter, and for the first time in years, he didn't see a child. He saw a woman who was fighting a war he had spent his life avoiding. "I'm proud of you, Cheyenne," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You're stronger than I ever was." "We're hearts, Dad," she said, leaning her head on his shoulder. "We're survivors, even if we have to survive on carrot juice." Chapter 11. The Hearth Fire. Reba was in the kitchen, nursing a cup of herbal tea, when the back door opened. It was late, and the house was quiet, save for the hum of the refrigerator. Cheyenne walked in, looking exhausted, but strangely peaceful. "How was the meeting?" Reba asked, almost afraid of the answer. Cheyenne sat down at the table. "Gary rang the bell on me." Reba winced. "I'm sorry, honey." "No," Cheyenne said, a small smile playing on her lips. "He was right. I was talking about shoes again. But then, I stopped. I talked about being scared. I talked about wanting to drink. And Reba, the room didn't fall apart. I didn't fall apart." Reba felt a lump form in her throat. She reached across the table and squeezed her daughter's hand. "I knew you could do it." "Mom, why did you really marry Dad?" The question caught Reba off guard. "What? Why now?" "Because I'm trying to understand," Cheyenne said. "I'm trying to understand if we choose our struggles, or if they choose us." Reba looked into her tea, the steam rising in delicate swirls. "I married him because he made me feel like the sun rose and set on my shoulders. He was charming and fun, and I thought I could be the one to keep his feet on the ground." She sighed. "But you can't be someone else's gravity, Cheyenne. People have to learn to stand on their own. I spent 20 years trying to stand for both of us. That's why I was so tired. That's why I'm so protective of you." "I don't want you to be my gravity, Mom," Cheyenne said. "I just want you to be here." "I'm not going anywhere," Reba promised. As Cheyenne went upstairs, Reba stayed in the kitchen. She thought about the party, the disulfiram reaction, the Get Cheyenne bell, and the strange, lingering look in Julian Ashford's eyes. Her life was a construction site, messy, loud, and full of half-finished projects. But as she looked around her home, she realized she was the architect. She was building something new, something stronger. She took a sip of her tea and smiled. The Houston humidity might be heavy, but Reba Hart was finally learning how to carry it. The Texas Flip, a novel of risk, love, and real estate. Chapter 1. The Curse of the Redhead. The Texas sun was an unapologetic weight, pressing down on the asphalt of the Houston suburbs until the air shimmered with the ghost of heat. Inside the Hart household, Reba Hart sat at the kitchen table. A stack of closing documents mocked her from under the fluorescent light. She was a woman built of grit and fire-red hair, but today the fire felt like it was smoldering under a pile of damp ashes. "I sold it," Reba announced to the empty room, her voice a mixture of triumph and poison. "That little starter home on Elm Street. The one I've been nursing like a sick kitten for 6 months. Gone." Cheyenne, her eldest daughter, wandered in, balancing a toddler on one hip and a look of vague concern on her face. "That's good, right, Mom? Isn't selling houses the whole point of your job?" Reba let out a dry, hacking laugh. "In theory, yes. In practice, I am apparently a charitable organization for people named David Davids." She explained the sting. David Davids, a man whose parents were clearly as uninspired as his business ethics, was another agent at her firm. He hadn't bought the house to live in. He hadn't bought it to help a family. He had bought it to flip it. Within 48 hours, he had listed it for $50,000 more than Reba had sold it for. 50 grand, Cheyenne, Reba whispered, the number tasting like copper in her mouth. "He made my annual salary in a weekend, because he had the stones to buy low. I'm the flippy. I'm the one getting tossed around while everyone else lands on their feet.